Okay, guys, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick, y'all. So we're going to jump into this without further ado. If you guys have not already heard, the Trump administration has reached out to the Supreme Court with regards to paying people their SNAP benefits. And it looks like the Supreme Court has halted the decision to pay those benefits. If you guys don't know what halted mean, it simply means that the benefits will not be paid. Oh, shucks. What just happened to my screen? All right, y'all, just give me a second. Let me not share. Something just crazy happened. All right, give me a second. Let me bring that back up. So, what I was sharing with you all is the Supreme Court has upheld the decision, and they are not going to pay those SNAP benefits to individuals who might otherwise receive those benefits, y'all. So I'm gonna share with you guys what's going on. It's a bad decision here because, let's be honest, people have been fired from their jobs. And they need this assistance to be able to buy food. Now, we're not talking about people that's scamming because we know people scam regardless to what happens, but we're talking about elderly people, we're talking about disabled people, and we're talking about people who've been let go from their jobs who need this assistance.
The Supreme Court granting the Trump administration's emergency appeal to temporarily block a court order to fully fund SNAP food aid payments amid the government shutdown.
The order coming as the Agriculture Department was working to comply with the previous order to provide November's SNAP benefits.
Here to react is Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins. Brooke, it's so great to have you back. We've been talking about ratings. So last week we had you on to talk about SNAP. You posted that, and you got 40 million views. I want to ask you about what's happening with that ruling last night, but tell me why you think that went so viral.
Well, it's interesting, Rachel. I have been doing this for a really long time, and we talked about this last Saturday, that, listen, people want the government open. They want those who are the most vulnerable, who are hungry, to make sure that they are fed. That's the SNAP program. But within all of that, the level of fraud and corruption and double dipping and selling benefits is astounding. And I think it hit a nerve with America to have our discussion. 40 million people watch it about how corrupt the SNAP program is, how we have to fix it. I think just tells you that Americans are paying attention and they're not okay with government as usual. We need to clean the house up, and that's what we're doing.
So the Center for Immigration Studies has found that anywhere from 50 to 60% of households that are headed by illegal immigrants rely on SNAP benefits and other programs similar to that. Is there a problem with that?
Well, we, at almost the very beginning, I think on my first day, I sent a letter to every governor in America saying, send us your data. No illegal aliens on any SNAP or food stamp or WIC program, period, full stop. Everyone said, oh, no, we're not doing that. It is illegal. I mean, it is not allowable. However, the 29 states, mostly red states, that sent us their data, what we found was really astounding. And now we're in lawsuits to get the rest of the data so that we can work to fix this. So there is no doubt that there is a massive, massive fraud in the program. But having said that, the Democrats have voted 15 times to not fund SNAP. There are legitimate families in this country that rely on that program to feed their family. We got to get the government open.
Right. So, Madam Secretary, what is your reaction to this judge's ruling?
Well, so last night, just to very quickly summarize for everyone, the Constitution, basically the executive branch takes the money from Congress, from the legislative branch. This goes back to the very beginning. We just can't create money out of the sky. That's not how the United States work. It's interesting, the No Kings rally, right, where they said, we don't want a king in America, except now they want a king that can create money out of the sky, the clear blue sky. And so a very leftist judge in Rhode Island said, oh, go create the money, everybody, go find it. And then the First Circuit basically agreed with that. But last night, y'all, Judge Ketanji Brown, no great friend of, free market and constitutional government said, no, we need to stay this for 48 hours. The First Circuit needs to take another good look at this, that this probably is not constitutional. You can't just create money to fund a program that Congress refuses to fund.
All right, Secretary, we want to get to this because President Trump just posted this on social media last night. It says, while cattle prices have dropped substantially, the price of box beef has gone up. Therefore, you know that something is fishy. We will get to the bottom of it very quickly. There is criminality. Those people responsible will pay a steep price. And we're looking at right now on our screen, I don't know if you can see it, just the increase in beef prices, for ground beef or steaks, et cetera. Everyone who goes to the grocery store knows that that's happening. So I want you to address what the president's talking about, possible collusion or monopolies among the meat packers. But then I also want you to address something that we've been talking a lot about on the couch, which is the overregulation of processing, so that I don't personally want my meat brought from like these big, huge slaughterhouses and meat packing places. I want it to come from a small local place, but they're overregulated and they can't compete. So address both of those things.
That's right. Well, a couple of really important points here. First, that the president's promise to Americans to make America affordable again, so that you, as a mom, Rachel, of many children, myself, we are able to put the best food on the table. We can afford it. We don't have to skip over that part of the grocery store because it's too expensive. So that's the first part. The second part is that this president is so focused on American families, the American dream, and American farmers and ranchers. In the last decade, we've lost over 107,000 ranchers in this country as the entire industry has consolidated. And what the president was talking about yesterday is 85% of our beef in America goes through 4 big companies. 2 of those are not even American-owned companies. So these are massive policy challenges, how much we pay for our beef, where it's sourced from, and whether we've got a national security issue on our hands, right? If you can't feed yourself, you're not secure as a nation. So that's what the president was really focusing on yesterday, and I think it's really, really important. Rachel, to your point, you and I have talked a lot about this, the Make America Healthy Again, how we get better, more nutritious foods. The fact that a cattle rancher in Virginia has to haul his cattle to the middle of the country, Nebraska, to get processed, and then who knows where it goes.
Woo, the lies.
A significant plan 2 weeks ago, supporting smaller ranchers, supporting local processing. We'll have
Do these motherfuckers ever tell the truth? Oh my goodness, this lady is giving me a headache, but let me just let it play out.
a lot more coming on that, supporting in-state sales across the state line. USDA doesn't have to be a part of all of that. We can rely on our states to do it.
Amen.
So I'm excited. I think there's so much we're going to be able to do on
We're
this.
excited too. We're obsessed with this. Come back and give us all the...
Are these people, like, do they get high or something? Like, what the F-U-C-K is this bitch talking about? Like, what is she talking about? Like, I can't not even take it anymore. This is absurd. So as you guys know, the SNAP benefits have been put on hold. A previous judge ordered this big body, nasty felon to pay the benefits. He reached out to the Supreme Court. Obviously, it is not happening right now because what they're saying is they need to take a closer look at it. But listen, y'all, let's just cut through the bullshit. And I've been telling people this for some time. This is what I believe, you know, this Donald Trump and his cracked out administration. This is really what I believe. When you take food away from people who may not otherwise, obviously, y'all, if people are on SNAP, it does not mean that they're not working. You know, some people feel like, or I mean, ignorant people, they need to get a job. You do understand that people that receive food stamps, a lot of those people do have jobs. The problem is they don't make enough money to buy food. So I had to look up the requirements because I was like, what the hell are the requirements for SNAP or food stamps? And this is what I found. And this is going to make maybe, you know, some people who are constantly saying, get a job. People have jobs. But unfortunately, we live in a world where what is what is minimum wage? Isn't it like $7 or something like that? You cannot afford to pay your rent with a $7, even if it's an $8 job. So listen, if it's one person in your house, generally people with, just one person, they typically not applying for food stamps. I mean, because even with that, you have to make below $1,632. So if you make below that, obviously you qualify for food stamps. Now, this is where it gets interesting, y'all. When you have a family, so let's just say it's a family of 3. So typically, if you have a family of 3, you have to make less than $2,798 a month. Well, think about it. If you're working a minimum wage job, you probably don't qualify. So it even gets more interesting. Let's say you have a family of 6. If you have a family of 6, you have to make under $4,546. And if you think about it, $4,546, that's, I don't know, how much is that? Let's see. Let's do the math. 4,500 and let's see how much is that a year. That's roughly about $55,000 or so a year. So people really need these programs, okay? This is not just lazy people who don't want to work. These are people who work. You have disabled people, you have elderly people. So these are programs that people need. And also, if you guys think about it, people just lost their jobs. So these people that lost their jobs, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to apply for food assistance, in which they should. So the fact that we playing games with people's life and talking about some damn fraud, come on now. If you feel as though it's fraud, I guess you investigate whoever, but this is no real reason to play with people's lives. And especially during the damn holiday, we need to get rid of Donald Trump and his crack smoking ass administration, because it's clear that they are on something. All they can do is lie.
Ongoing government shutdown. The White House faces new deadlines to tell 2 federal judges whether or not SNAP benefits will continue.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told CNN payments could resume as early as Wednesday, but until then, families relying on food assistance are feeling the strain. Joe Cortez is live for us this morning with more on the growing need and how the community is responding.
Well, Kate Patrick, good morning. As demand for food pantries continues to rise, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Community Center in Newport is one of many stepping up and helping the community. They collected over 8,000 pounds of food over the weekend, and they said a lot of these donations aren't just coming from the local or areas. They're coming from all over the state, and the impact of the government shutdown is being felt far beyond Washington. Meanwhile, a federal judge in Rhode Island is ordering the Trump administration to keep SNAP benefits rolling during the shutdown. The ruling, along with a similar one in Massachusetts, requires the use of contingency funds to prevent payments from being frozen. The administration has until today to report its progress, but officials warn many families could still face delays of up to 2 weeks before their benefits are reloaded.
You've got court orders telling the president to fund the program, and as he's done so many times, he's just disregarding the courts, which is contrary to the very oath he took as president.
We saw a 35% increase in how many people are coming to our food pantry in the month of October compared to September, and we've had a really hard time keeping our shelves stocked.
Now, leaders with the community center in Newport say that they're still accepting non-perishable food as well as other toiletry options. Just head over to our website, WPRI.com. We have a whole list, including an interactive map on where anyone who's affected by this SNAP benefit closure to head over to some of the pantries. But coming up at 6:30, we'll hear more from President Trump and his interview with 60 Minutes from over the weekend. That's the latest. Reporting live this morning in Providence, I'm Joe Cortez, 12 News.
34 of the government shutdown, just 1 day away from the longest in United States history.
In a new 60 Minutes interview, President Trump doubled down, putting the blame on Democrats as millions of Americans feel the impact now. Joe Cortez is live for us this morning with more on what the president is saying.
Okay, Patrick, good morning. President Donald Trump was very straightforward on the stalemate with his interview with 60 Minutes, saying that he will not negotiate until the government ends its shutdown. Meanwhile, Democrats, they're demanding a spending bill that expands the Affordable Care Act subsidies with premiums that are set to surge at the end of the year. Now, in his first 60 Minutes interview since settling a lawsuit with CBS's parent company, Paramount, President Trump defended his stance with Democrats over health care, calling the Affordable Care Act bad health care at too high of a price. The ongoing shutdowns left federal workers unpaid and put SNAP benefits at risk. 12 News caught up with Senator Jack Reed, who said practically all of his Republican colleagues voted for the big, beautiful bill, and their notion that Democrats are trying to undo SNAP are directly contradicted by their previous votes in politics. Here's a snippet of the president's 60 Minutes interview with Nora O'Donnell.
I mean, the Republicans are voting almost unanimously to end it, and the Democrats keep voting against ending it. Eventually, they're going to have to vote.
You're saying the Democrats will capitulate?
I think they have to. And if they don't vote, that's their problem. Now, I happen to agree with something else. I think we should do the nuclear option. This is a totally different nuclear, by the way. It's called ending the filibuster.
Now, the White House says that talks with congressional leaders could resume as early as this week, but with either side not backing down, it leaves not just Washington, but the country at a standstill.
Whoa, guys. So here is a list that I found because I was trying to figure out, what can people do? Now, in the video, they did provide some kind of information on how to be able to obtain food assistance. Now, here's an easy way. If you dial 211, this can connect you with a variety of different resources. Now, 211 is an easy option. Generally, everybody has a cell phone. If you go online and type in Feeding America, if you type in Food Finder, if you would go into Google, and then also Community Food Bank. So try those options if you know anybody, or if you are, struggling yourself with food insecurity. So let me kind of give some commentary behind what you heard. So the Supreme Court stayed the decision to basically telling Trump that he had to pay the full month of November. That is what they stayed. So that doesn't mean that the benefits won't come next week. What I have learned is that what the Supreme Court has done is they upheld the decision to provide the correct guidance to see if this is going to be done exactly how it's going to be done. I know I've went online and I saw people saying that they got it, and then some people said they didn't get the right amount. Like I heard somebody saying that their 50% amount was off. So I don't know. I'm just listening to, what other people are saying in terms of what they actually received. But I think what's going to happen is the Supreme Court is going to literally have to provide guidance, because what I'm hearing is they're saying that the reason why they were providing the 50% benefit is because they did not have enough funds. Now, I don't believe nothing, absolutely nothing that the Trump administration says, because they have proved to be liars and criminals, right? They've proved that. So we'll just have to wait and see what they say in terms of, be able to provide the resources to be able to fund this program. But I will say this: I really believe that Donald Trump is trying to invoke a civil war. What is a civil war? A civil war is when people that live together in similar, in the same state, begin robbing and stealing and all that. It gets out of hand. So I believe that is what Trump is trying to do, because we know when people get hungry, they're going to do what they need to do to be able to get food. So what I believe he's trying to do, and if I'm going to go back and find a previous video that he did, when there is a civil war going on, he can cancel the election. Donald Trump knows that his ass is out of here. His entire Republican Party is out of here. In fact, they have been on vacation, and are refusing to meet. They are refusing to come to any type of common ground to allow, people to, the government workers to get paid. And y'all know people at these airports are working for what, 30 days or so and not having gotten paid. What is this? I think they said this is the second full paycheck. Y'all know the average person is living paycheck to paycheck. So imagine working and still not getting paid. This is all the Republicans' fault. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the Republicans own the presidency. They own all three branches of the government. So they can do whatever it is they want. So when they keep telling y'all it's the Democrats, the Democrats does not hold the majority. So they are simply in a position that they can only negotiate, because y'all know how it works. They vote on things and it's like the majority wins. Now, what y'all need to understand, hopefully you guys voted in this previous election, but the next election that we have coming up, you need to not vote for any Republican that is currently on the ballot, including Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she is full of shit as well, okay? You see her now coming out in all of these interviews talking about the Republican Party, and they are simply saying the reason that she's doing that is because she wanted to get another position with Donald Trump and he turned her ass down. So what you need to do is not vote for the current. Now, if you are a Republican, a lot of Republicans are literally voting for Democrats because they know the Republican Party is running around here like they own damn drugs right about now. So you need to remember that when you go to the poll. Now, when you go there and it says incumbent Republican, even if you are Republican, you probably shouldn't vote for them because they are the reason that the country is in an effed up position right now. Okay.